All right. Good afternoon, everybody. So the reason why I'm doing this stream is basically because I have a request from PMD Designs to do a video with a crash course on posing some of my new updated characters with the facial and the rigging. So he's actually asking specifically for the new Hinata character, but I haven't been doing anything with her for in the recent times, and I realized that actually saying that I'm not I'm actually having most of my commissions are not safe for work, so I'm not able to do the video. But then I realized that actually when I port a new model over, the posing how do I put it, the posing promo picture is actually I'm actually using the pose as well. So because of this, I am doing a video with my latest updated pose, the conversion, which is a Tracer Sprinter, which is another commission of mine, a porting over commission, a conversion commission. So I will be using this chance to do a very quick video promo for her to show how I actually pose her character. Okay, so first is because she has she is wearing a midriff revealing clothing, so the navel should be visible. Okay, so because of this, Daz3d does have this navel option, which I just enabled. Okay, so other than that, I have actually not done anything to her figure at all, right? So for Overwatch characters and Tracer in specific, her legs are actually longer than normal. So I do have the morph available for that, but some people might not actually have that, so I don't really want to put that in. But how do I put it? Maybe around 15, something like that, slightly longer, a bit too long maybe. So this one I think is the default morphs, if I'm not wrong. I do have one that I think works better, which is actually from SY, which is Cine U, something like that. Unfortunately, the model, the morphs of this one does have a flaw. It's not visible here, but if you have the head, if the head is visible, the Daz3d head is visible, there is a flaw in this. So I actually like this morph a lot because it's free, but I cannot use the leg lengthen morph if the head is visible. So luckily Tracer head is not visible, as in I actually replaced her head with the game model head, so I can actually use this leg lengthen morph. So this is just for your information, just to let you know. So normally it's about 50%. I just put the legs a little bit longer than normal, right? So I didn't touch the rest, because by right the body is also supposed to be slightly shorter. The arms are also slightly shorter, if I didn't remember wrongly. You can actually import the Tracer's actual figure, actual game model, to do a direct comparison, but this should be enough for my purposes. Okay, so first thing I do when doing just for your information, for some reason, right, when the last few times when I'm doing live streaming, for some reason YouTube defaults my video to 480p, which is very low resolution, and I have no idea why, because all my settings are actually put to the highest available setting already. So for this video, right, I'm also doing a recording at the same time, so that if the live stream doesn't go well for any reason, if YouTube downsize my video, then at least I'm going to upload the recording as well. So yeah, hopefully this will work better. it can work for short videos, but if I'm going to be doing, you know, like in my normal 4, 5, 6 hours, I don't think my computer can take that kind of video size. So hopefully this won't go, the live stream will regain its normal, you know, 1920p video instead of downsizing all my live streams to 480. Right, so back to posing. Okay, so most of my previous works I've already shown in previous videos how I actually got all these things into Daz, so I'm not going to go over that. Right now, the very first thing, right, you want to do, to pose with using my converted figurine, basically because the body is using Genesis 8 female, so you can actually use most of their poses. Okay, so you can just go through and see if I can find any exercises pose, because this is a, you know, sprinting Olympics kind of thing, but I don't think I have a lot. I mean, this is a gymnastic pose, this is a server pose. I don't have a lot of exercises poses, so if you can find some, it will be useful for when you want to do posing. So other than that, maybe I have no idea. Let me take a look. Let me see what kind of poses I can use. Youth side baby. Let's see what I have. Oh, maybe something like this. I don't know, this should be interesting. Let's take a look, see. Okay, so first we pose the body, right? And then after that, I want to pose the arms, the hands, because in this case she's actually holding on to guns. So next will be hand poses. Just so that you know, I actually did not use the smart content because I find that it is extremely limited. I can a lot of things I cannot do. Basically I cannot move the things at all. So in the end, I just go and categorize all the stuff on my own. It makes things a lot more troublesome when I'm installing things, but when I'm searching for things, it's much easier. For example, I can categorize all the hand poses under hand folder, which you cannot do with smart folders. So yeah, that's just a little bit of a tips of mine. Okay, so I got a get a grip hand poses, which I can use for this kind of things. So we have let me see, where is the gun pose? Pistol grip. Yeah, there we go. So we got pistol grips, and then I'll need to adjust the guns a little bit. So slight movement all around, right? Because the grips are not perfect, so you do need to move them a little bit here and there. Those hand poses are pretty troublesome, to be honest. So you just need to move them to where the gun fits the pose. Two ways to go about it actually. There is the way where you can actually make the pose fit the gun. That is to say, you move the fingers around until the fingers fit into the gun, or you can move the gun to fit the finger. So either way works. In my case, I'm actually using a combination of both ways. And the thumb. Okay, so the good thing about Daz, right, is that you can actually see where the angle of your where you want your pose to be, and some things that are behind you can just ignore. Like in this case, the thumb is out of alignment. Ignore, not important, right? So not every pose you can do that, but in this case, you can use that. It is quite helpful. Okay, so in this case, I will move this down a little bit. Okay, so when I port the guns over, I actually just put it in roughly into position. It's not very accurate, which unfortunately, because it's a lot more troublesome. Every pose will be different, so there's no way to actually make the one pose fit all. So I didn't bother trying. I just roughly fit to the hands, and then you can do the fine tuning later when you're doing the actual posing. Okay, so something like that, and then the hands, I'll move it in a little bit. One little tip is that you can actually change the coordinates here. So if I'm using local coordinates, you can actually change the way the coordinates are pointing. So in this case, right, it's actually aligned with the hands. So then when you're doing the guns, maybe you want to go to object coordinates instead. So depending on which one you like to use, it's easier if you use one or the other. Okay, so I'll just move these things around a little bit here and there, something like that. Okay, so this is it for the hand, for the body poses. Then we deal with the face. So for the recently, I've actually been dealing mostly with faces, with the, how do I put it? Mostly with riggings. So most of my stuff have riggings to it, the actual game rigging. So in this case, it's no different. The rigging is actually using the actual game riggings. Okay, so I'm sorry, I just got some issues here. I'll have to resave this part later. I keep forgetting to do that. So select children and parameters unhide. So what happens is that because by default it comes in hidden due to the way I actually port these things over, so now that it's not hidden, I can actually control the bones one by one, like so. Okay, so with this you can roughly guess how you can go about doing the figuring, the expressions, right? So in this case I will need to move to use object coordinates instead. So you can see it is actually using the object coordinates. It will be easier for me to pose facial expressions here. So I've got lips corner 2, left 1. So lips corner 1 is slightly at the bottom, lips corner 2 is a little bit at the top, and then you have this one down here, which is lips corner 3, which is the on top one, right? So if you want her to smile, usually they don't have that many lips corner. Like for example the Naruto figurines, I only got one lip corner. So in this case you have 3. So you need to move these things around. Like in this case, I want her to smile a little bit, so something like that. Twist it a little bit, and then this one goes, twist a little bit, move a little bit outwards, things like that. So you just adjust the facial expressions as you like. So temporarily I'm gonna hide this so that I can access the eyes. I'll make the eyes a little bit bigger, slightly bigger. So in this case I actually have an eyelid upper that I can use, though it's actually a little bit overkill. And one way is that you can actually select multiple here. If you move this directly, only one will be used, but if you go to the parameters tab, with all three selected, you can move all three at the same time. So that's just a little something. But the problem is that, you know, all three is not that accurate because it's using numeric figures, numeric numbers, right? So slightly bigger eyes, because Tracer for some reason has really narrow eyes by default. So I have no idea why. So this is just a rough, what do you call it? A rough posing. I'm not really going to do a lot of very intricate poses because this is basically just a preview. Not a lot needs to be done. I mean, yeah, so I'm just gonna do a very simple one. So something like that, roughly, right? Actually, the face is horrible. As in, you know, I'm not very good at this kind of facial expression things. Okay, so roughly something like that. Okay, then next will be to find a good camera angle. Okay, in this case, I'll do a little bit on the scarf as well. So one quick tip, if you all want to call it that, I can actually open, like for example, all the scarves, right? And then I can rotate them all at one shot. It makes things a lot easier when instead of, you know, trying to do them one by one, I can just rotate them all at the same time, right? So yeah, something like that. Something like that. That means if you're gonna do this like this way, my angle will have to be this way. The angle of motion, right? So something like the camera angle will be somewhere around here, roughly. Okay, so next you put in a camera, then you copy the active view, so your camera is where you are actually currently looking. So in this case, the camera is here. So where I was actually looking at it just now. So if you look at the camera view, is perfectly where I was pointing at just now, right? So the next part will be a background. So in this case, I'll just randomly grab one. I think I'll go with my usual, which is to say portrait vinaigrette, something like that. Okay, so this is the one that I will usually use, right? Mainly because I'm lazy that way. Okay, so I'll move these things a little bit. So this part is open air. So what I need to do is I'll need to move the house a little bit. So like I say, you can move either the character, or you can move the house, or you can move the camera, or you can move the figure. So it's entirely up to you, right? So both ways. Okay, then next, to make things a little bit more interesting, So I'll just select the camera, go to the parameters, and I can actually do a rotation like so, and I'll move it somewhere like that, right, just to make things a little bit more interesting. You know, it's a little bit on the slanted side, not so obvious that it will be distracting to people, but just a little bit, you know. Okay, this is actually quite noticeable, but you know, just a little bit to show the character this, because the line is this way, this is the line, so your camera will want to also slightly how to put it, align yourself with that as well. Yeah, so my camera is at a slight angle like so. Okay, so with this, next one is to actually check the lighting. So you go to the NVIDIA iRay, and this is a preview of the kind of lightings that you'll see. Okay, so another way is that in Daz Studio, right, there is this post denoiser. You can enable them, and it will load very fast, and you suddenly everything will become very smooth, right? So you can use this to very quickly activate your preview and check the lighting. So and then you can go to lightings. In this case, I quite like Paper Tiger's quick light render because it's quite fast. Yeah, so say for example, if I take this one, right, double click, and this is the lights that will appear. So you say, well, I want something more interesting, so something like this. So now you got a little bit of a evening glowy kind of thing, bright lightings. You know, you can adjust these things all over the place. So in this case, I think I'll choose something like this. It's a nice bright color. Then another way you can play around with this is you go to environments, and in the dome rotation, you can actually dome rotate on the y-axis, right? So you go back to texture, otherwise it will take quite some time. So if I dome rotate, say maybe 90 degrees, and then I go back to iRay, I can see the lighting has changed a little bit. Yeah, so it's not so dark, it's not so bright anymore. So if I minus 90, it is brighter, right? So something like this I think is good. So what I'm going to do next is to texture shade, and I will render the scene. So this is basically how I do my my rendering or my character posing and stuff like that, right? So hopefully this is helpful, right? So if you notice, it's already out. So I'll just let this run until the render is done, basically. Yeah, so that's all there is to it. Right, so nice and simple, quick and easy, so to speak. Okay, so yeah, that's all. Thank you very much for watching. So I'll end the live stream here, and if the live stream is not doing well, then I will upload the recording as well. Okay, so thanks for watching. I will end it here now. So goodbye. Live stream end.